what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another video. I'm fresh back to my home in Jersey from ARG Worcester, which it was called ARG Boston, but it was in Worcester, which is a travesty because I lived in Boston for 2 years. Worcester is an hour away from Boston. I actually had an opponent that was like, dude, we're in Worcester right now. It's like an hour away from Boston, right? But it's called ARG Boston. And I was like, yeah, why? He's like, I wanted to see Boston while I was here. And, you know, I guess he might not have got a chance to do that. But clever wordplay, ARG. You got us this time. ARG Philly is also not in Philly. But anyways, whatever. So into the deck profile. This is the deck I took to ARG Boston. And yeah, it was weird. I ended up scrubbing out. But I ended up learning a lot from this event. Like learning a whole lot about the format. And I kind of want to talk about that in this video. This deck, absolutely incredible ape matchup. Like absolutely wonderful. Like it's really, really good in your favor. I'm going to talk about that once again to the deck profile. The red-blue matchup, though, not as good as I thought. Going into the tournament, it was definitely not as good as I thought. But, yeah, we'll get into the profile, and I'll explain why. So, I played the Soul Striker Goku leader. One of my favorite leaders of all time, next to the Kid Goku leader, the yellow Kid Goku leader. So, what this leader does is it attacks, allows you to untap blue energy on both sides. 1 energy on your unawakened side, 2 energy on your awakened side. And then on your flip side, he gains 5K power when you attack if you're at 5 and 1 energy, which actually came up a lot. And then he attack draws a card. So besides the fact this is one of my favorite leaders, you know, theoretically every blue leader should be buffed now because of flute. But you notice in this list there is no flute. My original conception of the deck, if you look back to my old Soul Striker profile, like from a couple weeks ago when I first started theory crafting this deck, flute was in there. As I started changing the deck to kind of combat the meta more and more, flute became less and less valuable because I cut things like Boos, I cut things like my common one to play Gohans, cut Tapion. So this was a fluteless blue leader deck. Maybe the craziest video we'll ever do on this channel, a blue leader without flute, but you know, whatever. So yeah, we didn't play flute in this deck, but I kind of built this deck in such a way that it dropped just straight up bombs turn 4 or 5. And you know, everyone has been saying online that this meta isn't as fast as people think, and turn 4 or 5 is like the sweet spot. That's like where games are ending, and it's great, and this and that. It's not really true. It's not really true unless you're playing SS3. But I'm gonna save that kind of for a state of the game video for my next video. I don't want to make this one too long, so we'll get into the deck profile. So 2 Scientist Fu, best game ender. I'll say it every single time you see this card in a profile on mine. I wanted to play 3. I tested it out for a while. It was a little too clunky. 2 was perfect, especially in combination with the other bombs in the deck. Sensu Bean, untap Trunks. So Bean is typical in Soul Striker. It's also typical in like almost all the blue decks. Unyielding is a little weird. Typically, it's not really seen in Soul Striker decks because, like, you know, your leader does the same thing. But in this particular deck, it's much more important to be able to untap your greens. And we're playing a Gotenks package that can search this out, so it just works out really, really well. Boost Tech Piccolo. I had no regrets playing it all weekend, although I was eye-opened to the fact that Kibito Kai is actually very, very good in this format. That is definitely a thing. A 10k Jocko is very, very strong, especially when you're playing a deck like this, which I end up learning is kind of subpar against red-blue because you are very, very low on resources a lot of the time. So Kibito Kai may have been a very good thing to test out a little bit more, and I will be testing it out more as I play this deck more and kind of edit it. But Piccolo is great. 4 Objection. So the reason I played 4 Objection was I'm playing a whole lot of 4-drop bomb cards. Like when I drop my 4-drops, like they're supposed to be like completely impactful to the game state and just absolutely like swing the game in my favor. Waiting till turn 4 was way too slow. And I have been testing against red-blue online and against friends and things like that. Waiting till turn 4 was way too slow. So I needed Objection. I wanted to go turn 2 Objection, turn 3, drop a 4-drop bomb, and start winning. That was the idea. The thing I learned is, like with Objection and like skipping a little bit ahead to full power energy, this red-blue format is like all about advantage. Like completely about advantage. They just out advantage you because every single attack they do is a +1 for the most part, and they're usually dealing crit damage to you, so you're not gaining back resources. So Objection was straight up a -2, which kind of sucked. It was like essential because of the way I built the deck. I needed to get to my bomb cards, but at the end of the day, it was a -2 from my hand, so I wasn't able to really defend all that well when I needed to. And then full power energy, I think this was like a playstyle error kind of on my part. And one of my friends, Larry, actually, he opened my eyes to this. Your first 4, even sometimes 5 life, don't really matter. So the thing is, like, a lot of people will charge a green pass if they're playing against one drop flute deck, and full power the first thing they hit. And I was doing that too throughout the tournament. And I think it was a mistake, honestly, because like I'm not playing a self-awakening leader, so all the help my opponent can do to help me awaken is important. And like preserving your life total is important as well. But like getting stalled out and not having access to cards is really, really rough, especially in this deck. So full power, like really early on, is like straight up a -1 because you negate, you blow up a 1-drop, you 1-for-1 with a 1-drop, so like that's evened out. But they drew a card off life by attacking that 1-drop. So you straight up -1, and in this advantage format, it's not really optimal to do it early on. What I think would have been better, which I did learn this throughout the event, would have been to save my full powers for later, because these 1-drop flute decks don't have too many bombs outside of like foreseeing hit, and they're still trying to kill you with those very 1-drops late game. So they want to like attack 1-drop, crit you or double strike you, and then flute it back to reuse it. But full power energy in that part of the game is probably a bit more impactful, because then like, you know, they're at 4 or 3 life. They're really have to get a debate, well, if I don't have a follow-up play, do I take this life and put myself deeper into lethal range? So I think that was kind of like a play mistake on my part when I played against the red blue decks, but I digress. So now between objection and full power energy, we have Raging Energy Blast Gotenks. This card's absolutely amazing. I really, really love this card. It just creates incredible combos. So 20k critical, which is already huge. Activate main, sacrifice it, untap 2 of any color energy, usually untapping 2 greens because my leader can untap blues, and then search a Trunks and a Goten. So basically, your leader's almost always awakened at that point in the game. So you attack with this for a 20k crit, you untap 2 greens, then your leader swings, untaps 2 blues. So you basically restart your turn with a +2 because your leader swung, drew your card, and then Gotenks replaces itself and search another card. So really, really strong, crazy combos there. Then we have At All Cost Vegeta. This card was weird because like I was really, really like struggling to finalize my deck the night before the event, and my friend suggested this card. And it is another bomb card, which is like what this deck wants to do is just straight up drop bombs. And its triple strike did come up once in a game and win me that game, but like waiting till 5 on it was a little weird. But I did like it because of the untap 1, draw 1, and theoretically it was there in case I ever got stalled out by someone, which typically didn't really happen because I was playing against a lot of aggro. But yeah, it was there for if I got stalled out, and it was able to rip 2 life. So in theory, it was good. In practice, there was some times I wanted to dig for it just to be able to drop more bombs. Like I said, because the untapping it allows you to make more plays. So it was pretty good. Yeah, not too much to say about it. Then we had the new 5 power Son Gohan. This card is absolutely incredible. It was like I said before, like your first 4 to 5 life don't typically matter, except like if your opponent's trying to push you from 5 to 3, you might want to defend yourself at 5 if you have the means to without negging too hard, because this card to put you at 4 is like really, really strong. Like I'd so much rather sit at 4 than at 3, especially because like so many decks, especially the red blue aggro decks, can just like put on so much pressure when you're at 3. Like it's really crazy. So if you have the means to awaken with a card like this, it's really nice to kind of save yourself from going from 5 to 3. I do really wish I had Flute in this deck to have recycled this card and get more pluses off of it, but unfortunately I couldn't go with Flute because like Awakening and drawing 2 or super comboing into Flute and Objection is like really, really garbage. So that's what I went with. This was just like get me to Awaken and it can die, that's fine. Then we had Unified Spirit Son Goten at 3 and Unified Spirit Trunks at 1. So this was the Goten I chose to play. I didn't think Family Justice was going to be too relevant because like I don't think anyone really wanted to play blockers against me, and I had other spot removal in the sideboard. And this card like could swing, threaten Awakened Leader, search any of my 5 Trunkses, so I get a +1 off of it, and then I can go into more untapping plays for more combos. And then like it kind of these guys both kind of like flute themselves, so they would just become live combo power back in my hand. It was a way to like utilize energy before I'd swing on my leader, so I can get like more value off of that, like untap 2 and then draw 1. If I didn't have a true play like on turn 3 and I couldn't hit Objection the turn before. And then Unified Spirit Trunks was like a 1 of green searchable off Raging Gotenks, so I needed a green energy. And the theory behind it was like I could swing at like a leader, or I could swing at a rested 1-drop and then like reveal Goten, pop another 1-drop, or like, you know, any like low drops on the board. But that didn't really come up. It was just green energy for the most part. Now we have 2 more of our bombs. We have Combo Killer and Elaza. This card put in absolute work against apes because all my bombs in the deck like already match apes. So if they want to keep their apes on board, they're gonna have to use 2 cards. So like the typical curve was like against like when we were going through the game plan, we had Objection on 2, get to 3 energy. Next turn, get to 4 energy, drop Combo Killer, Now Combo Killer is just going to sit there and make your opponent start wasting resources. So that was kind of the idea about it. Put in a lot of work against Apes. Was a little too slow, unfortunately, against the red-blue decks. Then we had Super Saiyan Gotenks. The typical Soul Striker bomb card, like untaps 2 when it comes in, draws 1. Your leader untaps 1 to 2 more, usually 2 more. So super bomb card. Absolutely incredible against Apes. Like, put in so much work there. Once again, unfortunately, way too slow against the red-blue decks. Then we had Unbreakable Super Saiyan Son Goku. So we decided to play this for defense. We did not play the free Hans, the combo to play Gohans, because when I was trying to defend my life, I'd rather have the 10k that drew me a card so I can like fish for more things to defend rather than like a free Han that wasn't going to get me any more new cards, and it coming into play wouldn't really matter because I was going to lose anyway. So I ended up cutting that for more bombs, and like I said, once I cut Flute, like it just lost like, way more value. So this is the deck profile I decided to play. Changes to this particular profile. The sideboard was pretty irrelevant, honestly, for the whole event. The 4 cards that did come in, though, almost every single matchup was 4 Coercion. Like, literally almost, I think, every single game they came in. So, I think, like, if you are going to play a slower strategy like this, 8 negates might, like, really be the way to go. Like, I don't know. I never sided out objection, but, like, maybe 4 Whis right where objection is would, like, be the sweet spot. I don't know. But I'd have to mess with it some more. And, like, I'm thinking about converting this deck into a deck that doesn't really play objection. It plays Flute and has way more impactful 3-drops. I'm thinking about converting this to a deck like that because it might be a little bit better against a red-blue aggro, which is like really dominant right now. But like I said, this build has like an absolute incredible Apes matchup. So if you're looking down, if you're facing down a lot of Apes in your local meta, like this is really a strong deck to play against those. So I'm going to talk about just how the tournament went. So round 1, I had an opponent no-show, so I got a round 1 win. That was pretty cool. Round 2, went into time and drew with Hurrigarn aggro. So this was weird because red-blue Hurrigarn didn't really put as much pressure on me as I thought it would. And I actually played against 2 red-blue Trunkses later on in the tournament that like it was a completely different story. Like, we'll get there when we get there, but red-blue Hurrigarn, I felt like pretty like safe against for the most part, honestly. And maybe that was because like their leader had to swing at me for them to gain pluses. And in turn, they give me cards where Trunks doesn't really have to do that. Like, they don't really benefit off their leader swing much. So maybe they like wouldn't really like want to swing with their leader too much, which makes a lot of sense. So yeah, like I had plenty of cards to play with, and then like objection was a lot better because like when your opponent's giving you cards off your life, objection is just way better because you have more cards to play with. And we ended up tying in game 3, and like after like revealing his final hand, like it was his turn when we went into time, and he played a little bit slowly, but you know it happens. So yeah, after he revealed his hand in round 3, like I was gonna win that game. So we ended up drawing there. The time rules kind of suck, you know, but that's for another video. So next round, 2-0 SS3 Apes. Like I said, this build has an incredible Apes matchup. You're just able to go wider than them. You're able to outgrind them with things like Combo Killer. You just have a great Apes matchup. So that was really good. Then the next round, I unfortunately lost 2-1 to Apes against the gentleman. I think his name was Jason Coppola, who went 3rd place in Swiss. Lost to him, and that was like a huge misplay on my part. Game 1, I had gone wide enough to get through 4 8 blockers. He's at 1 life. I had a Senzu Bean in hand that I, for some reason, wanted to hold for defense, when realistically, I should have comboed it into an attack, reset a green, because I had a newfound Power Stone Gohan in my hand, and I was at 3 life. So I could have dropped the Gohan, swing for the last attack. He had, I'm pretty sure, had been tapped out, like incredibly low on cards in hand, if I'm recalling correctly, which I'm fairly certain I am. And that would have been my last attack to win the game. But I made a huge misplay, which cost me the game. Game 2, I won. Game 3, he beat me. Game 3, he opened incredible, like double Bardock into Awakening, into Videls, and the whole thing. So he got me there. So that misplay kind of like got in my head and, you know, really impacted my tournament. So then next I lost 2-0 to Trunks aggro, like 2-0, like it was disgusting. Like my deck, like I looked like a second-rate duelist with a third-rate deck, like in that game, because like I said before, like Hurrigarn, like for them to gain pluses, they have to give me cards in order to do that. Trunks does not have to do that, which gives this deck a bad matchup to Trunks. And also, like I said, like full power energy way too early was not as good because it was straight up a -1. Like that Trunks deck like out resourced me like absolutely. It was absolutely insane. Like I have no words. Like besides the fact that the red blue is like the best color combination in the game right now and it's broken. Like besides that even being a fact, like I just got super out-resourced in that matchup. It was disgusting. So after that, lost 2-1 to Red Blue Trunks in a different match. And pretty much same story. So after that, I ended up dropping because I had no shot to top at 2-2-1. Yeah, 2-2-1. I had no shot to top, so I ended up dropping. But overall, the weekend was incredibly fun. Met a lot of cool people. Scott Dashy, I got to meet, who was one of the big faces in the community. He's a really fun guy. He's a really cool guy. So yeah, I don't have any real regrets taking this deck. I knew going in it was gonna have a great ape matchup. I thought it was gonna have a better red-blue matchup than it originally did. If I had played against more Hirudegarns, that might have actually been the case. But actually, Trunks red-blue, which had a good amount of representation, really stuck it to me. So, like I said, I think I'm gonna experiment with Soul Striker being able to drop more impactful 3 drops rather than like big bomb 4s and 5 drops. They might just be a little bit too slow for the format, and Objection might just be a really bad choice right now because of like your hand size getting so low after Objection. So like I want to experiment with things like Sneak Attack Vegeta, Energy Power Gotenks, things like that. Just more impactful 3 drops. So that's kind of where I'm at with the deck right now. Had a great experience at the tournament. It was super fun. Losing wasn't super fun, but I really wanted to establish another top ever since I topped San Jose, top 32. But yeah, so we're just gonna keep trying in the future. You know, I'm gonna keep messing around with this deck. I am definitely gonna try out some different red-blue decks. I have a Hirudegarn profile coming up for you guys that I actually won my shop tournament with yesterday back in Boston. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about the deck. Any ways to improve it, any ways that you guys would play it, things like that. Like whatever you think would help me with the red-blue matchup. I really want to know what you guys think about the deck. Yeah, so please let me know what you guys think. With that being said, this is Joey from Crossroads TCG, and I'll see you next time.